14th regular meeting of Medford City Council, Medford, Massachusetts. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Delarusso. Present. Councilor Falco. Present. Councilor Knight. Present. Councilor O'Kern. Present. Vice President Marks. Present. Councilor Scarpelli. Present. President Caviola.
Present. Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion for suspension of the rules by Councilor Longo-Kern, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli. Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you, President Carviello. We do have a resident that would like a few minutes to speak. I know it's give us an update on what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Name and address of the record, please.
Yes, my name is Fran Avola. I live at 9 Alfred Street in Medford. I was here a couple weeks ago, and I'd just like to personally thank everybody here for getting this ball rolling in the right direction. I had a positive attitude about this. We got a cease and desist order, and I thought we were going to give this thing a nice nap and have a nice Christmas, but unfortunately, I have some bad news. First of all, nothing has stopped, okay? They continually work, and I have the documentation, the videos. They have continually worked for every Saturday since I've been here. I had the Medford Police come by on a Saturday, December 9th, door wide open, grinding. Councilor Scarpelli here drove by. Luckily, he just told me and saw them working on a Saturday. So it's been very frustrating. And, you know, I know things aren't going to happen in 1 day, 2 days. So I didn't want to come here a week later. I figured I'd wait a week or so to see what's going on. Well, things have gotten progressively worse over there. They're still coming in early in the morning, but now what they do is they park their cars around the other side of the building because thinking that I don't see any cars there, that, you know, they're not working. Another problem I have is I went down to the building commissioner's office today, and what I wanted was some clarification on a cease and desist order, which I looked up in the dictionary. It says you stop work. You know, I'm not an attorney. I'm just saying that. So Mr. Moakley wasn't there, but when I went there today, John Bafuso was there, and I asked him a few questions. My first question was, copy of the cease and desist order. I don't have it. I said, well, you know who has? He says, Paul has. Can I speak to Paul? Paul ain't in right now. And then I asked him for some clarification, which, you know, really concerns me. And he said, Paul isn't here. So I was a little aggravated at this point, because I took time off of my work, not that I get paid millions of dollars, but I took time out of my day to go over it just to get something resolved. I went up to the mayor's office, unannounced, which I don't blame her. She was in a meeting, so she couldn't speak to me. That's totally understandable. I didn't even expect to see her. I just wanted to let her know I was there. But she was nice enough to have called Mr. Moakley, who I just left the office, wasn't in, came right up. I tried to get some clarification on this. He couldn't give me a straight answer on anything. Everything's kind of like a riddle to me on the answers I got back. One of the things that really, I need a clarification on this. I have this paper here from the Board of Appeals that was written, okay? And I highlighted what it says, because I keep getting the wording that, this, even though it was written to Steve Nardone, it's transferable to the tenant who's over there, okay? And with that being said, I just want to go back a step. Mr. Moakley, in his words, agreed that this company, J.F. White, is in violation of doing this type of work. Those are his words, okay? You know, this place is supposed to be for parking, for storage, not for industrial, heavy-duty pipe manufacturing. But with that being said, what really bothered me was it says on the paper here, it says the Board of Appeals also calls the attention of the owner of the application that General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the last paragraph, provides that no variance or special permits of any extension, modifications, or renewal, therefore, shall take effect until a copy of the decision bearing the certification of the town within 21 days of it being filed. So, I'm not an attorney, but this pretty much sounds like this isn't transferable, okay? But what I'm asking you is, why, when I come here in front of you guys, in front of everybody, you gave me the cease and desist order. Now, Mr. Moakley tells me the cease and desist order was given, and he couldn't give me a copy of it, but he said it was no work will be allowed before 5 o'clock, before 8 o'clock in the morning and not after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, does that sound reasonable? That's worse than useless. Having somebody, it's supposed to be a cease and desist, it means stop work. So you're saying they can only work between 8 and 5. I don't know what to say. It's that you guys helped me out so much, and now I'm up against this here, and I don't understand the wording or any of this. But it doesn't make no sense to me at all. And most importantly, I just want to say I have 40 people that I'm representing today that are not here because they don't even know I'm coming today because I don't have time. I didn't have time today to go there and see all of them. But they all support me, and we're all together on this. And it's really aggravating that a company, J.F. White, can't find a place. Oh, and that's another thing. I said, well, when are they coming out? When are they leaving? He says, well, they said by the end of February. Do you have a date? No. So again, we're at hearsay. They're supposed to be out the end of February. A company, J.F. White, can't find a place to do a commercial business, heavy pipe manufacturing besides a residential neighborhood. I'm not buying it. And I need all of your support, maybe something we can do to get this resolved because, you know, we have rights in this town, in the city, and our rights in my neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, are being violated on a daily basis. And it's disgraceful that I have to go down there and argue with somebody down in the building department. John Bafuso told me they have a right to work on a Saturday. I said, did you read the ordinance? He goes, yeah. 5 minutes later, I see Paul. He says, oh, no, they can't work on a Saturday. I mean, does the left hand know what the right hand's doing? This is the guy that's been out there 5 times. 5 times he's been out there. He hasn't seen any work. Hate to tell you, but for the last 2 weeks, Winchester Street's been closed off. No one can go up there, okay? And the problem's on Alfred Street. Read the paperwork, Alfred Street. Not Winchester Street, that's where you enter it. All the noise is coming out of Alfred Street. So I'm at wit's end here. I don't know why a company is coming into a town that did this here to make money, do their pipe work, and get out, that they have no respect for the neighbors, no respect for the city, and why is the city allowing something like this to happen? I don't get it. I don't get it. And if you all can help me in some way, I very much appreciate it.
Through the
Thank
chair,
you.
if I could ask a question.
Councilman LeCrim.
Through the chair, thank you, President Caraviello. So they're working 6 days a week with the door open. Are they still doing work outside, or is it getting
Yes,
closed?
they're still doing work outside. I have video documentation, and what I just like to make it for the record that Mr. Moakley, I saw him up in the mayor's office. I wanted to show him the video. I said, well, they're out there right now. You want to see the video today at 1:30? Here's some more grinding. I mean, I don't want to have to play this for you. I don't want to see it. Of course you don't want to see it. You know? I mean, how can you have a cease and desist order and say they can only work from 8 to 5? Does that sound, seriously, I'm asking you all, does that sound fair or reasonable? That's a slap in the face to me and the 40 other people that signed this paper.
Through the chair, it seems to me our 40 neighbors that are dealing with this have a right to be very frustrated and to get a date of maybe February. We all
An if, not even something, if. I said, so did they give you anything in stone? Well, they said. I go, so that's hearsay. hearsay. I mean, they're a big contractor. I don't even think they're aware of what's going on, to be honest with you. That's what I think, because I don't think a company that big would want to be embarrassed so much for making fools out of himself in a city, in a residential neighborhood. I just can't believe it. What I can believe is down at that building department that someone's not doing their job. How come he comes by and he sees it, and this guy comes by 5 times when the road's closed on Winchester Street, and he's never seen nothing? I live next door. I'm not even home all day, and when I go home, that's all I see and hear. So, I'm not imagining things, and neither are all the neighbors,
Fran, I don't know what to tell you. I'd be happy to meet you here tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the building office and go up there with you with the building inspector.
Well, thank you very much.
If you'd
I
like
just
to do
want to
that.
know that you're well respected by me, and I find that everything you've done was being very disrespected, and I just wanted you guys to acknowledge that. Thank you very much. And
If
I
you'd
hope
like to meet me here tomorrow morning when the office opens.
I'll be there at 9 o'clock, no problem.
I'll meet you there the first thing in the morning, and we'll go up there together.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a nice Christmas. Thank you for your
Don't
time.
leave.
I think we need to get some clarification from ourselves. I know Paul's responded to me in the last week because I've had some of your neighbors actually call and email with additional complaints, like you're saying.
Right.
This work hasn't stopped. It's going on at all hours, inside, outside. So I did request Paul I did ask a couple questions to the building department. He did answer me back, but you're right. If we asked for a cease and desist, why are they allowed to
Well, more
still
importantly,
operate?
what I'm concerned, can anybody get a clarification on if this ordinance was specifically for Nardone Electric, okay? And he doesn't operate the property. And it says right in here that this can't be changed by anything unless it's in 21 days of writing. How is this happening? I don't get it. I don't get that at all.
Maybe we could give that
I'm not an attorney.
Maybe we could give that to our messenger and get an opinion from our city solicitor, and if that's the case, if it's non-transferable, then the permit should be pulled, although we voted to cease and desist on this a couple weeks ago.
Point of information, Councilor Del Russo.
The conclusion was reached some weeks ago by the building commissioner that it's not transferable. He made that clear, and those are the grounds under which he's issued the cease and desist.
He's told me otherwise.
So it would be my recommendation that we require the building commissioner to pursue this to the greatest extent the law allows him to deal with it.
I'll
And
meet
maybe
Mr.
you can
Bola
work
here
that
tomorrow
on.
morning, and we'll get the bottom of it tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
Councilor, you done?
For now.
Councilor Scarpelli.
I was conferring with supporting my colleague when we talked about getting this to the city solicitor. I think that the message is clear. I think that we've all spoken. We support the neighbors. Like I said, we've seen the work, and we've mentioned that. So I think that if we can do that, I know it's great that you can come out tomorrow, but I think we need our legal team to work with our code enforcement to make sure both of them are doing what's right. And if we need, then you need to get your, the chief of police involved and do what needs to be done for those residents. I think it's very important that all 3 entities are contacted.
Okay.
Vice President Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my colleagues, but I'd like to take it one step further. I think we need to create an emergency committee of the whole meeting and meet with the city solicitor, as was mentioned, the building department, John Bavuso, and the building commissioner, Paul Moki. Either meet on site or here at City Hall. I would prefer that we meet on site, Mr. President, and this needs to take place immediately. So I would ask that you set up an emergency meeting, Mr. President, to go on site. This is, as Fran mentioned, this has been going on far too long. I thought the cease and desist order, in my opinion, how it's always worked in this city, that stops all work.
Exactly. That's why I couldn't understand why you would have a cease and desist from 8 to 5.
And the reason why you do that is to bring all parties to the table, because once you stop work, J.F. White's going to say what's going on, and they're going to want to be at the table.
Exactly.
But if you allow them to do business as usual between those hours, because in my opinion, the city didn't do you any favors 8 to 5.
Oh, you guys did your job. I just want to tell you, I'm very happy. And unfortunately, I waited, and I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight, but nothing has changed. Nothing. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to ruin everybody's day.
Right. And our job is to make sure the residents have a peace of mind and a quality of life that they deserve. So I would ask, Mr. President, that you call for that meeting
We'll do that
immediately.
first thing in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Council Falco.
Thank you, Mr. President. And, Fran, I thank you for coming down again to give us an update.
My pleasure, Mr. Falco.
You live here, you live in this neighborhood, you experience this on a daily basis, and this is a quality of life issue. You shouldn't be impacted like this,
Absolutely.
and your neighbors shouldn't either. And, I agree with my colleagues. I think an emergency meeting is called for in this situation. I mean, this is something that needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. The questions that I have, and that I would like to hear back, is why were there limitations put on the cease and desist order? Who actually put limitations saying between these hours and these hours? I agree with my council colleague here. It should stop work means stop work.
Yep.
That means shut it down. And that's when people react, and that's when people come to the table to come up with some sort of a resolution. February, once you get to February, they're going to say, well, we'll find a new place by March.
Well, we
We'll find
almost got a
by May.
space, but I'm with you 100%.
Exactly. So we need to make sure that, the feet are held, put to the fire and make sure that they find a location, but to also make sure that, they comply with the law, and to make sure that, you actually can live a nice quality of life in your neighborhood.
Thank you.
So I'd like to know, who actually, put limitations on the stop work order or the cease and desist order. And I also want to find out when it was issued. I know you came down and we actually, Council
It
Marks.
was issued on a Thursday, 2 days after the meeting, which was the 5th, on a Tuesday, the 6th. I think it was issued on the 7th.
The 7th?
7th or the 8th.
Okay, if we can just get confirmation on that. But I do agree, I think okay, then I think that I do agree that an emergency meeting is warranted, and we should be doing that, so, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Kern.
Through the chair, when you say our code enforcement officer, he didn't make it to the site because the street was closed, is that what you're trying to
Well,
say?
what happened was, I was, exactly, I went down to see when he was going, because as I read his, first of all, I didn't call the newspaper called me, and I was reading some of his comments in there. And one of his comments were, it's a noise issue. It has a lot more to do with noise. This is one of the problems, but I've been there on 5 separate occasions, and I haven't seen any of them working. So I went down to get some documentation on what days he was there. And I got like, I went down, I couldn't get a straight answer. But I can tell you that for the last 2 weeks on Winchester Street, they've had it shut down except for Saturdays because they're doing all the gas lines there. So where did he go? He couldn't get up Winchester Street. If you went down Alfred Street next to my house, he would see a door wide open with guys there grinding away,
Through the chair, I think we need to maybe take a vote to cease and desist the business, go on record at all hours of the day. Just cease and desist. We'll reiterate that we're asking our building department to issue another cease and desist for doing any work on the property, at the property. I don't know what we're going to do on a Saturday morning down there. I think it needs to start tomorrow. They need to be issued a cease and desist, bring them to the table sooner than that.
Thank you.
Fran, if you can give your phone number to Larry.
Yes.
And actually, if we can meet tomorrow at 8:30, I'll meet you at 8:30.
I'm on it like a hornet. I'll be there.
I'll meet you at 8:30 tomorrow morning at the building departments.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice
Thank you,
Christmas.
All right, motion to revert back to regular business? Mr. Clerk?
The main motion from Council Falco is who put on the limitations on the cease and desist, and when was it issued, and amended by Council Kern is to issue a cease and desist for all hours of operation.
And then we also ask that the city solicitor look into the question of whether or not the license is transferable.
Yeah, you have to get him a decision. He calls a committee in the whole meeting.
I will,
It's not emergency because you got, obviously.
That's part of the report, it wasn't an emergency meeting.
is tomorrow, if we can get one tomorrow night, is tomorrow night okay?
Meeting or committee of the whole meeting?
Oh, sorry, we need to post it, we need like 48 hours, right? I will see if I can get it for I'll see if I can do it for Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, on the motion by Councilor Longo-Kern, as amended by Councilor
Falco.
Falco.
Falco got the main motion.
On the motion by Councilor Falco, is amended by,
Councilor Kern.
amended by Councilor Longo-Kern and Councilor Marks. All those in favor? Motion passes. Motion to revert back to regular business. Motion, orders, and resolutions 17-800, offered by Councilor Longo-Kern. Be it resolved that the administration update the Medford City Council on what locations snow has been stored over the last 3 years. Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you, President Carviello. We did ask for this resolve back a few months ago when we were discussing, I brought up the issue of dumping snow near Wrights Pond. We did get a grant to help alleviate some of that issue. There was a number of questions that were attached to that question. One was, where have we stored snow as a city? Where does the DPW store excess snow over the last 3 years? And maybe amend it with regards to where we plan on storing snow. Some people say we may have a bad winter. I'd like to know where we're going to store excess snow this winter. Also, we never got a response, and I know the city solicitor was working on it with regards to what the issue concerning Wrights Pond and the grant that was received. So if I can amend this paper to also get a response on, so that's my second amendment. Clerk Finn, first would be, where have we stored snow? Where do we plan on storing snow this year if we do have a bad winter? And my second amendment would just be with regards to the issue of accepting a grant for Wrights Pond. Does that allow us to still limit Wrights Pond to Medford residents only? We were waiting on an answer. I know the solicitor has been busy and did say he was going to try to wrap that up. So I'd like to see if we could get an answer on that. The City of Medford received a grant for work to be done on Wrights Pond. And the question which a number of residents have is, if we accept that grant, can we still limit Wrights Pond to Medford residents only? We had to give back a grant in prior years. Before I was a counselor, we had to give back, I believe it was a state grant, because if we accepted that grant, we'd have to open up Wrights Pond to non-residents. So we gave back the grant, we had the city covered that money, so now a few residents that were around at that point spoke to me with regards to this grant we just received to make sure we can still limit it, because that was an issue over the last year or two. Medford residents fought hard to make sure Wrights Pond remained Medford residents only, and everybody just wants to make sure that still remains the case. So if we could move approval on this resolution as amended, see if we can get our questions answered. This is the second or third time we've asked, and I'd like to prepare accordingly. Winter is coming. We've already had snowfall, and it would be nice to get the questions answered. Thank you.
On the motion by Councilor Longo-Kern, as amended by Councilor Longo-Kern, seconded by Councilor Falco. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. 17-801, offered by Councilor Longo-Kern, be it resolved that the Medford City Council receive an update with regards to the test borings and results behind the Andrews School. Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you, President Carviello. This is also with regards to some pollution that was going on the side of the Andrews soccer fields. The City Council requested that we also do test borings behind the Andrews School. I know that was a condition on the paper that we had approved, so I just wanted to get the results of that. I move approval.
On the motion by Councilor Longo-Kern. Name and address to the record, please.
Andrew Castanetti, Cushion Street, Medford, Massachusetts. I was hoping if one of you councilors can or will, one or even better, all four of you or better, could please amend this resolution to ask the question, what's up next door to the Andrews Middle School you're talking? You're talking about the Andrews Middle School, are you?
Behind the Andrews Middle School where the soccer
Bordering the
fields
river.
are.
Bordering, actually the soccer field itself?
well, there was the issue with contamination next to the soccer field, so then I requested that because it was so close to the Andrews, that's not playground, but the Andrews soccer fields, that we do some test borings at the Andrews soccer field as it abuts where the contamination was. So I have not got an answer with regards to what the results of that was, and I think it's important. Hundreds and hundreds of kids play soccer back there. It's something this council voted in favor of, I believe 7-0, to do some test borings there, and I'd like to know what's going on.
I think that's great. I think you have great common sense and great courage to ask that question. I would like to ask if you could amend this to add next door to that piece of land, which is bordering behind the Duggar Andrews School. I believe that section of land is from behind the Duggar Andrews School to the Medford Riverside Yacht Club. And I believe it has, as I say in the real estate business, a dirty 21E, which means contaminated soil with arsenic possibly and other chemicals. And it's been cordoned off for over a year. So I'm not sure what's going on. I would like to know, because that's the area where they're supposed to finish the half-mile bike path from the Duggar Andrews to Route 93 behind the Salt and Stall. It does not exist, and that's where I had my bicycle injury. I had my concussion and broken hand. So I would like to get this half-mile of Clippership bike path connector done. It's the only half-mile that's not completed out of the 10 or 20 miles from West Medford, Arlington, all the way to the MBTA station at Assembly Road, mind you.
Yep.
I would think it should have been done in the center of the square before to West Medford, Arlington, and also towards McDonald Park and towards Assembly Road. The center of the square does not have it. This has a dirty 21E, I was told, and it's bordering behind the Duggar Andrews. So if you could ask that question again, I would like for you to amend it and also ask about the bordering area where the kids play soccer.
Through the chair, I will make that amendment that we get an update with regards to the contaminated area, which abuts the soccer fields. That we did put money into already. I know Alicia I don't know if we've got an update recently on that, so if we could get an update to that as well. That was proven contamination that I know the city is on top of, although obviously it's moving slowly. But we did appropriate money to do the first stage that Ms. Hunt wanted to do, and this came actually as a request or a condition in order for us to award that money. So hopefully we can get an answer on both.
I hope you could pass the amendment also. I thank you very much. And if I may, if it's okay, I'd like to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a good New Year to everybody else.
Thank you. On the motion by Councilor Longo Kern, as amended by Councilor Longo Kern, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 17-802, offered by Councilor Knight. Be it resolved that the Office of Diversity and Inclusion conduct an assessment on the number of the handicap parking spots accessing Wegmans and provide the council with its findings. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. With the changing face of the old Meadow Glen Mall, I've gotten a number of phone calls from constituents concerned about having an inability to access Wegmans because of a lack of handicap parking spots out in front of that facility. They'd say down at Marshall's and down at Kohl's, there's ample amount of parking, but over in the center of the plaza, they're having a difficult time finding some spots. So I'm asking the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the new name of the Diversity Office, to take a look at this, Mr. President, and see if they're in compliance with the city ordinance and if we can take any steps to work with Wegmans to put some more spots in closer to the
That would be New England Developments.
New England Development.
You want to change that to New England Developments?
Well, I think that actually what I want them to do is take a look at actual Wegmans and spots accessing actual Wegmans.
So why don't we contact both of them? All right? New England Development is actually, they're the,
Well, actually, all I want right now is for the Office of Diversity to go out there and see whether or not they're in compliance with our ordinances, and if they are, they are. If they aren't, they aren't, then we can take the next step.
on the motion by Councilor Knight. Seconded by Councilor Dela Russo. All those in favor? Motion passes. Motion to take...
Motion to take papers in the hands of the clerk.
Motion by Councilor Dela Russo to take papers in the hands of the clerk. All those in favor? Motion passes. Offered by Councilor Falco. Be it resolved that the administration contact the owner of 101 George P. Hassett Drive to have them board up the open windows on the property in the interest of public safety. Councilor Falco.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was actually on the way to work this morning and coming on the on-ramp onto 93 and driving by 101 George P. Hassett Drive. The address is 101, but you can see the building is boarded up, but in the lower half of the building towards the basement, there is the boards have fallen off the building, and the windows are broken, and the whole bottom half of the building is exposed. So anyone can get in there, kids, homeless people, I mean, anyone has access to it. So it's a bit of a safety concern that needs to be addressed. So if we could have the administration reach out to the landlord of that building to have that boarded up immediately, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if I could further amend the paper to basically get some sort of an update from the landlord as to what they plan to do with the building. I believe it's going to be a hotel, or at one point we were told it was going to be a hotel, but maybe get an update on the timetable. So.
Thank you. On the motion by Councilor Falco, was amended by Councilor Falco, seconded by Councilor Knight. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. I regret I passed over something on the agenda. 17799. Report of the Committee of the Whole meeting, December 12, 2017, to review and discuss the fiscal year 2018 real estate tax allocation.
Motion to accept the committee report, Mr. President.
Motion by Councilor Dela Russo to accept the report, seconded by Councilor Knight. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. President, if we have a lapse in a moment, may I introduce something by way of discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry? I have one more. Okay. Offered by the entire council, be it resolved that the Medford City Council extend its deep and sincere condolences to the family of Joanne Abbott, who recently lost her battle with cancer. Joan was a long-time city hall employee and worked for the Registrar of Voters and later for the building department. She will be missed in this building and throughout the community. And if we could rise for a moment of silence in her honor. Thank you. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, looking at the agenda here, we have paper 17590, 17433, 17606. They're all going to be due for their reviews, whether it be a 60-day or 180-day or a 90-day review for signage, Mr. President. Where our December 26th meeting is canceled, I'd ask that we mark these up for this January 9th meeting.
Okay, on the motion, Councilor Knight, that we mark these three papers up for the January 9th meeting. On the motion by Councilor Knight, seconded by Councilor Falco. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Clerk, if you could please make that recommendation for the thing.
Do you want these individuals up here for the January 9th?
Yeah, yes. No, they don't have to repair. Yeah, they don't have to repair. Councilor Russo.
I don't want to belabor our time here, Mr. President, and thank you for this indulgence. The mayor had appointed me some months ago, weeks ago, to be one of the representatives of the community to the ongoing Green Line Extension project. The project is entering a new phase. They're due to begin construction in the near future. This will be a process that I think will unfold over the next 2 years as far as working on the station, the tracks, the rail beds. In many ways, construction and pre-construction has already begun. We met with the project manager from the MBTA, the assistant manager, and many of the community outreach people, and representatives from Medford, Somerville, Cambridge, and related constituencies. I'll continue to keep the community up to date, but and I'm going to continue to urge the mayor to find resources available on behalf of the administration and the citizens of the community to have trained representatives and people who are adept at development and planning issues at the table with us. This is going to be a project. I urge people, if they wish to reach out to me by email, to do so if they have any concerns about the project as it moves forward, as far as accessibility, issues around the structures and material of the construction, and also urge people to make their opinion known to the mayor's office as well. We had representatives also from citizens present. Laurel Ruma, who is a citizen over an abutter to the tracks, has been active for nearly 10 to 12 years in this process, is a member of the committee, and also present, and someone who's been a longtime leader and advocate for the Green Line extension, and someone who brings expertise and reason to all the processes. Ken Kraus, also a Medford resident. So it was good to have them there with us, and representing and speaking on behalf of the citizens. And hopefully, as this project moves on, we'll get the best product available for the people of Medford.
Thank you, Councilor Del Russo, for your hard work on that project.
So, Mr. President,
Vice President Marks.
if I could ask Councilor Del Russo a question. There are 3 representatives
Yes.
on this Green Line extension,
Yes.
and they are Ken Kraus, yourself, and Laurel Ruma?
Nope, myself, Laurel Ruma, the 3 appointees from the mayor, myself, Laurel Ruma, and Rocco DeRico of Tufts University. And that organization is a major stakeholder as the station, the Medford station, is in the midst of their properties.
Right. So, Mr. President, we did have other residents that sat on this committee the first phase of the Green Line extension, of which Doug Carr and Jim Silva were not asked to be back on the Green Line extension committee. And one was replaced by Rocco DeRico, I've known for a lot of years, and he does tremendous work, but he's representing Tufts University and not representing the city of Medford. And I have a concern when you only have 3 representatives on a committee that are here to represent the city, and of which 1 represents Tufts University. Doug Carr, who was also on the committee, was a representative and the chairman of all the communities when they had host meetings. Doug Carr was the chairman and a very knowledgeable person, as well as Jim Silva, who represented the South Medford area through SMARTO and so forth, and was instrumental, and still is instrumental, in passing information out to residents and neighborhood in this community. And I think it's a huge loss not to have those 2 gentlemen reappointed on this committee, Mr. President. And I would ask that the mayor reconsider the members of this committee and look at reappointing Doug Carr and Jim Silva back to the committee.
Expanding the committee?
Whatever needs to be done, Mr. President, but to have one person that doesn't really represent the city on the board of 3, to me, there are plenty of other people that have been active for years on this Green Line extension and have taken countless hours out of their schedule to attend these meetings. I know we have Councilor Della Russo on the committee, and I look forward to, information being dispersed to the council regarding the Green Line extension. But knowing that Doug Carr and Jim Silva were so instrumental in disseminating information and being involved, I'm extremely disappointed in the mayor not including them in this second phase, Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President. On the motion by Vice President Marks that Jim Silver and Doug Carr be added to the Green Line Committee to be sent to the mayor for her consideration. Councilor Knight.
Know if these individuals had a willingness to continue to serve in their positions?
Council Vice President Marks, have they expressed?
Both expressed interest in written letters stating that they'd like to
Have they
serve
sent those letters to the mayor?
well in advance, yes.
Do we know if there are any other individuals in the community that have expressed some interest?
I would not know that. If any other individuals
We're going to make recommendations. Maybe we'd want to take a look at everybody.
It's not up to us to take a look at anyone. I'm just throwing out there the fact that we had two people sitting on this that did yeoman's work on behalf of the residents of this community, and I expressed my disappointment that they weren't reappointed. That's all.
Thank you. I shared my information, and I didn't have this as a resolution, nor did I request a motion, but to receive and place on file, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Councilor Longo Kern.
Thank you. Through the chair, I think we should just request that the mayor look into expanding the committee and hopefully open up applications to those who are interested, and hopefully those that have been working so hard and going to meetings will apply.
On the motion by
She should
Vice
expand the
President
committee. I
Marks.
mean, a bigger committee, the better. To more the people that can serve in different capacities on a committee that is working on the Green Line, the better. You should have somebody, obviously, too, from the neighborhood. There's so many people that probably want to be on this committee, so I request that we look into expanding this committee.
On the motion by Vice President Marks that we request that the mayor expand the Green Line Committee, seconded by
Aye.
Councilor Longo Kern. All those in favor? Motion passes. Do we have any further business this evening before we adjourn?
Happy holidays to everybody.
Hearing and seeing none, I think on behalf of all my city council colleagues and everyone in the building, I wish
you were gonna-
we wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy
Yeah,
Hanukkah,
that's
Happy
right.
Holidays, and a safe New Year.
Before the records are called,
We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
before the records are called, if I may,
Councilor Longo Kern.
just want to let the public know, Councilor Knight and I want to let the public know that there's a public hearing notice, City of Medford Community Development Board for February 7th, 2018. They shall conduct a public hearing on February 7th, 2018 at 6 p.m. in room 201, City Hall. The hearing is relative to a petition by the Medford City Council to amend Chapter 94 zoning, Article 2, Division 1, Section 9435E by adding language in the fifth line after the word in numeral Section 2 as follows, and such notice shall also be given to all owners within 400 feet of the property line of a petitioner as the same are listed in the most recent tax list as kept by the city assessor of the city. And such notice shall also be given to owners within 400 feet of the property line of the petitioner as the same are listed in the most recent tax list as kept by the chief assessor of the city by way of a telephone call or text message that uses a computerized auto dialer to deliver a pre-recorded message or its equivalent. Copy of the full text of the amendment is available at the office of the city clerk, City Hall. And I know that Clerk Finn did get the language that our city solicitor helped us draft last week. So our resolve was amended to state that the city council suggest or recommend that a planning board discuss a viable alternative for the applicable ability of this expanded notification, such as applying to any projects that are subject to site plan review or conversion of housing units more than presently exist. So thank our city solicitor for his hard work on this and helping us last week. Thank the Community Development Board for holding a meeting in February 7th, and hopefully this is posted posted and advertised. I'd like to just put a motion out that a reverse 911 call go out with regards to this meeting, if possible. I think it's an extremely important meeting, and the public should be aware of it.
On the motion by Councilor Kern that a 911 reverse call goes out for the February 7th meeting. All those in favor? Motion passes. Records of the meeting of December 12th, 2017 were passed to Councilor Kern. Councilor Kern, how did you find those records?
I've reviewed the records, and I find them in order, and I move approval.
Second. On the motion by Councilor Kern that she found the records in order, seconded by Councilor Del Russo, motion passes. Again, happy holidays to everyone, and Merry Christmas to all my councilors and people in the city. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Knight, seconded by Councilor Falco. All those in favor, aye. Motion passes. Merry Christmas.